Hey everyone, this is going to be the fourth video of the Build a Bible App course series. So in this video, we're going to be covering database and actually implementing the Bible reading plan. So let's just do a quick overview of where we've been. This is the handy app architecture diagram that we've reviewed a few times. Now in the last video, we did authentication, which is that middle green box and the Supabase backend column. In this video, we're going to be talking about database. So let's talk about databases a little bit overall and then start digging into how we're going to build it. So database is basically storage for your application data. In our case, we're going to be storing our Bible reading plan. You can store a user profile and many more things. And it's primarily designed for storing and querying text and structured data. So let's talk about what this is not. If you have a bunch of images, for example, that's not really text or structured data, and you'd actually want to store it somewhere else outside of a database. And Supabase, in fact, has a different product called blob storage where you can store data like images, but we're going to cover that in a separate video. Now, for databases, the one thing that we want to keep in mind is that security is critical. And really what we mean is that users should only access data that they are authorized to see and nothing else. Okay, so when we talk about database access models, there's a couple different types, where in the traditional type, you have private access where only the server can talk to the database, and your server will have rules about what's allowed to be fetched. Now, there's a new style, which is public access, and things like products like Supabase and Firebase have made this more popular, where client applications like your browser and mobile app can directly access the database. Now, this is really handy because you're able to really simplify and you don't need as much server code, but it might seem risky to you because if the direct client can access it, for example, anybody's web browser who signed in can access it, well, is that secure or not? And that's why Supabase has this thing called RLS, row level security, which basically ensures that users can only read and write data that they're authorized to access. And the database itself, not a server, but the database itself is enforcing these rules. Okay, let's just give a quick example about how this actually works in practice. So let's say you have a food tracking app where you have a whole bunch of rows where people, different users, are writing down what they ate and how many calories it is. Now, for privacy reasons, it makes sense as a user, let's say 123, I can only look at my own data. I can't look at anyone else. And what RLS ensures is that user 123 can only look at the first row because that's his own data and not other people's data. So that's a quick overview about how databases and row level security work. Okay, so let's hop over into the Dyad app and let's give it a shot. Now, I'm actually be switching models because earlier I found Gemini was being a little bit unreliable for some reason this afternoon, and this is something I recommend. Try using different models, you'll get different results, and you'll see. Okay, so in this prompt I wrote, build a Bible reading plan feature where I can pick a book of the Bible to read, and it tells me to read one chapter a day, where I can mark it as read. Now, I actually didn't say Supabase or database right now, but usually the AI will pick it up. So let's see. All right, cool. So the AI actually generated a whole bunch of different files over here. But I'm going to hop over right to the database file and see that, okay, it created a reading plans table. So this is what I expected. So essentially, it'll store the user, the book, the number of chapters, and the completed chapters, and if the reading plan has been completed. Okay, so then it's also adding a row level security policy, which is what we talked about. And so users can only see, insert, and update their own reading plans, which is what I expect, and also delete as well. And so let me install this UUID package. If I open it up, I can see, wow, this is a really popular one. I actually have used this before, so I know it's okay. And the types at UUID is just something for TypeScript. And these ones are generally pretty safe, but you can go ahead and see that's also really popular as well too. Okay, let's go ahead and hit approve. And then now I can see, okay, it's telling me that I have to be loading applications. Now, if I open up a new Chrome browser, it's actually going to allow me to sign in. Let me just test this to make sure this is okay. And so over here, I can see I've got reading plans. I can go ahead and create a reading plan. Now, I saw an error there, and it probably shouldn't be happening. We can fix it later. If I click Genesis, I'll do Start Reading Plan. Okay, now it's not creating a reading plan. Let me just refresh. Okay. So now this is also getting stuck in this loading application state. So let's just ask the AI to say, why is it getting stuck at loading application ... And let's see if it can figure it out. Okay, so it's updating these files, and it's also telling me to do restart app. So let's go ahead and just do that, see if that clears up any of the issues. And now I'm just getting stuck onto this nice spinner here. Okay, now it works. So it looks like it did fix it. That's awesome. Now if I click on Bible reading plan, let's go ahead and try to hit new reading plan. Let's go ahead and pick a book, Ruth. Let's see if it creates it. And it looks like it's not able to create it. One thing that I'll do is I'm going to open, let's go ahead and open it back here in the browser. Now I can see the failed to fetch reading plans. If I create a reading plan. Okay. So I think it's just a little bit hard to see this toast message. Let me go ahead and paste this message and have the AI fix it. Okay, so it looks like it fixed a few different things. Now, one thing I want to highlight here is that it's running a SQL query that's dropping and recreating this table. Now, this is fine because we're developing it, but if we already had users and already had a bunch of data here, reading plans, this would actually wipe out this data. So when you're doing database things, you really want to be careful. Take a look at what it's trying to do before you hit approve. And if you do make changes, trying to take database backups is going to be really helpful. So let's just follow. Okay, actually I didn't have to restart. Looks like it's loading. If I do new Bible reading plan, okay, my guess is that it's a little bit hard to see the error message in the smaller screen. So let's just go over here, new applications. Okay, so it's getting stuck at the creating one, and I don't see any toast or error messages. So something I'm going to do, I'm going to open up DevTools and see if I see anything here. And I don't see anything. So I'm going to just tell it now. Okay. Okay, let's approve the changes. Let's go ahead and just do restart this time, just to be sure. Okay, go to reading plans. So it's still stuck at creating. And now it's just saying creating reading plan with Ruth. Let me just open up incognito and see if this helps. Sometimes what this will find out is if there's some weird cookie issue, which is the reason why something's not working. So if I do new reading plan and I click Genesis, okay, so that works. So this is a weird cookie issue, and this has happened to me a couple of different times. If you're noticing something weird around authentication or you're making changes around that, something that you can try doing is basically just trying to clear cookies, and you can just Google how to clear cookies. In this case, I have Chrome, and I've got some things over here. If I go to settings, privacy, delete. I just want to delete the last hour because that's when I've been developing this. Okay, so now if I reload this page over here, I'm gonna have to sign in, which is what I expect because the cookies have been cleared. click on reading plans, and if I do new reading plan, let's pick Ruth. Okay, so this is working correctly. I'm not exactly sure why this always happens, but I do recommend trying to clear your cookies when you open it in an incognito window, which basically has a clean state. If that works fine, but it doesn't work well in your regular browser or inside Dyad, then you probably know it's around something around cookies. So if I go to hit continue reading, okay, it'll give me, okay, this is nice. It's giving me a schedule. I can do read today's chapter. And now that I've finished it, I can do mark as read. And if I go back, okay, I probably have to adjust the UI to have better navigation. I go to reading plans. So it's not super clear to me why it's so slow here. I'm going to try opening up incognito and see if that speeds things up as well. All right, so it's much faster when I'm in incognito. I'm going to go ahead and clear cookies. Again, not exactly sure what's going on here. We'll test it out after we deploy it, make sure things are smooth. But I can see that, okay, it's marked it as progress, 1 of 4 chapters today. It's done. And I got a check mark for this one, which is awesome. And I get the remaining schedule. So far what we've done, just to recap, we've built a Bible reading app and it has a reading plan. And where you set up authentication, we set up database, and things are working. We've hit some bugs along the way, which is totally expected when you're building with AI. In the next video, we're going to deploy it using GitHub and Vercel. Then we'll test it out over there and we'll see how it goes. So stay tuned for the last video.